And you mentioned when we were first talking on Instagram that you dated a Playboy model, OnlyFans girls.
Mm-hmm.
Are they super broken and like unredeemable, like everyone on the internet says?
Like the one common thing that I've kind of seen is,
I'm so curious how many women that is true for versus the ones that are more like Lily Phillips and like that is the only thing she wants to do. You could not pay her to not do it.
you know, I've had times where I've dated somebody and literally like cried about the last person I was still upset with. And I realized, well, I shouldn't have done that.
I just had this conversation on Tim Cass like 2 days ago and we were talking about crying.
Yeah.
And then Myron was on and he was pretty much like, if you do it, it's only around men, never in front of women.
Gay or bi or this or that, you know, I'm like, I don't care who you're having sex with.
So no more OnlyFans girls?
I don't know.
Or,
No, I don't know. I don't know about
or bunnies.
Probably just not falling in love anymore. I don't follow no sheep. I'm a one-woman man, and boots on bare feet. The sun on my skin, deep in the heart of Texas, is where I've been.
Thank you for coming on the show today,
Yeah,
Ronnie.
for sure. I
Yeah, it's
appreciate
nice
it.
to meet you.
You too.
Yeah, I was, again, trying to figure it out because everyone in Austin seems to know Gary. I was saying earlier, I feel like he's the mayor.
Yeah, I met him probably 2 times. Just once at a party and then once at one of backstage at one of Laser's shows. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't really know him other than that.
Yeah. Everyone's either connected to Gary or Laser or both in Austin. Yeah. How long have you been here?
I've been in Austin for like 10 years or longer probably now.
So now you're native.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, since I was like 18. Mm-hmm. So longer than 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And you were just telling me about your band, and I was trying to figure out what category I was going to put your music into. I was watching a bunch of your reels last night.
Oh, nice.
And it was like, it's kind of reggae, and then there's like a lot of more country heavy stuff that's coming out now. And I don't know, it seems like you have a lot of range with what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, like for the last 10 years since I've been in Austin, it's been all reggae rock, you know. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, dude, it's so hard to be a reggae band in Texas.
Oh, really?
I mean,
there's not a market.
And there's not really a huge market for it. So I'm
you
trying
need
to
a
like
beach.
Yeah, I know. So I always go to South Padre or like Corpus Christi or Galveston and shit like that, you know, to the beach towns. And then we go to California and they think we're the Texas band, and then Texas we're the California band. So we're like, damn it, where do we fit in here? And so just been trying to like find my genre, but lately it's just like doing like my solo thing. It seems like I would like to say like country, but really it's just like singer-songwriter, like Americana kind of music. You know?
Yeah, I was trying to pull up some people that you were kind of reminding me of, and parts like some videos would be a little bit Iration, and then some would be like Bailey Zimmerman, and it's kind of like that mashup between the two. And when you were saying you're with Baby Bash and they were trying to kind of push you towards country music, I think that's actually a really good idea because you were mentioning like Jelly Roll and Morgan Wallen, and I'm thinking like even Post kind of moving into the space, or Shabuzi, right? So these people that are really prominent in this space, you can't put them in that like a single bucket anymore, but it still has like an undertone of country. So I don't know anyone that's doing kind of like a reggae tropical vibe. I think it might be like a modern iteration of Kenny Chesney, right? Because he's
you remember that one?
Yeah,
that's seriously what got me thinking about it, is the what's that song? Is Nelly and Kenny Chesney, right?
Oh, let's
or
see.
was it Nelly and Tim McGraw? But it was like that. It's like one of the very first like country hip hop mix up. It was like, fuck, what was that song? Over and over again.
Oh,
over and over
I think that was
again.
Tim McGraw.
It was Tim McGraw.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. But I remember that was like the first like country hip hop thing that I've ever heard. And I was like, you know what? It was huge. Like that song was huge in like the early 2000s.
And now we have Shabuzi.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Post Malone and all of Morgan Wallen's, like most of Morgan Wallen's tracks are like you hear a trap beat and then an 808 like sub bass, and then he's doing like, you know, acoustic kind of chords over it and stuff like that. So I'm like, I know how to do that shit.
Yeah, I would always say that Morgan Wallen was country's Posty, and now Post is getting into country, which I'm so excited about because I love Post Malone and I love country. So for me, it's a match made in heaven. Yeah.
He did one of his songs that was like a straight like, you know, rap song, and he did it with like a full band and did like a country kind of like version of it. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking dope. Like he's actually like just changing his songs too and stuff. I'm like,
last night, did you see his SNL performance?
Yeah,
it was so good.
That's epic. Like, yes, literally singing like for Nirvana.
Yeah,
with Dave Grohl playing drums again.
Amazing.
Like, yes.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so cool. He's got a killer voice. I'm like, I like this more than the stuff that made him super big because you can actually see the talent. You know what I mean? It's like. A lot of people have to use the 808s or they need a high production because they can't actually sing, right? They can perform. So that's why like Taylor Swift is huge. Not saying she can't sing, but it's not the same thing as like Aretha Franklin. We have to be honest, right? That's true. So when you can see like the raw talent in someone, I think you appreciate it more than the production. At least I do.
No, you're right. For sure. I mean, like that. He started. I think he was doing country music first, and then he went to like hip hop.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I thought it was metal for some reason, but I could be making that up.
I have no clue. I knew that he wasn't doing hip hop first, and then he went to hip hop. Now I think he's going back to like his roots of, you know, what he really wanted to do in the first place, which is badass.
Yeah,
and it's crazy because like rock stars now are either country artists or hip hop artists. Like that's the new rock stars, like the huge, you know, people that are in the world. And I'm like, damn, it used to be like, you know, straight rock and roll for a while, and I like it. I like the kind of, and now every day like everyone's just like fusing. Yeah, I guess that's the word. Yeah, but like, you know, fusing all like the genres together, and that's what you got to do, I think, because we're 2025. Yeah. Damn, dude.
I know, it's weird to say out loud.
I know. I'm like, somebody was asking like when my son was born, and I was like, 2001? I was like, holy shit. That's so crazy.
Oh, wow.
Like, I was literally born in a different century than my son.
Yeah.
He's like, you were born in the 1900s? You're so old.
I know. I see all the young people saying that. I'm like, oh, that's dirty. Yeah, the late 1900s.
The late 1900s, yeah. Oh, those are the good days.
I guess it's accurate, so... Embarrassing. Yeah, so you're a single dad.
Yeah.
That's really rare.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
I love it. I love like just hanging out with my son, living like seriously. My dad passed away when I was 6, so it's like my first time to have like that father-son experience where I get to be the dad, and it's badass.
Does it come natural to you?
So yeah, for sure. I mean, he's like my best friend in the whole world. And he literally like wakes up in the morning. He's like, "Up with the sun, Dad." And I wake up and I'll open my eyes and he's like already looking me right in the eyes. And I'm like, he puts his hand on my cheek. And he's like, "All right, time to get up, Dad." I'm like, "Dude, you're so amazing. I love you." You know?
Yeah, it's the best thing in the world.
It really is.
Kids. Yeah. Yeah, I have 2 boys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How old?
2.5 and 5.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's man, when there's like only one parent, that's got to be super hard because, I mean, I have help, and there are days where I'm like, how does anyone do this by themselves?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I know. I almost feel like sometimes it's, like, easier to like, co-parent, you know? Because then you have every other weekend off where you get to, like, do just pretty much balance, you know, and, like, scheduling all your shit you got to do.
And you don't do that? You have sole custody? Or
No,
you do split?
Yeah, we split.
Oh, you split. Okay. Yeah.
So, which is nice, because, like, right now, he's with her, and I can go and work and play shows and do all these things, and, you know. But when I have him, I just turn off my phone. I'm just, like, with him.
Ultra present.
Actually, I don't turn on my phone. I have no option to use my phone. If I get on my phone, he literally slips his head in between my phone screen and me. It was like, "Hey, get off your phone."
They're so amazing that way. So I work in batches essentially because all I do really is podcasts these days. So I try to save them for when I'm out here in Austin, and I'll just like schedule a few back to back, and then I'm good for a month. And then when I'm home, I try to do the same thing where I'm ultra present and just basically a stay-at-home mom. And the other day I was getting dogpiled online, like hard, just like thousands of comments, and I'm not even exaggerating, like thousands and thousands, and just being inundated.
On what?
And this clip that went viral, and I had no idea why it was controversial. It was basically talking about women's arousal and the things that kind of get in the way, and how women essentially are constantly threat detecting. So if you have even acute stress or chronic stress, both things process the same as if you're getting like chased by a tiger. This is our, limbic system hasn't updated, so it's the same, which is why if you go to do like public speaking, you're like, why do I have this irrational like feeling like I'm going to throw up, shut down, or pass out? It's because it's the same as if you were in front of a predator. Like, that's just how we process it. So it was just explaining basically like stress turns us off, especially as women. If you're getting chased by a tiger, are you going to want to like get down? Absolutely not. You're like, I got to go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn to be able to save myself, right? So just saying like how men can help, just help a woman who's stressed to, in order, help her with arousal and, increase your chances of having a good time in the bedroom. Nothing controversial. And then everyone was like, she wants to domesticate men and this is chore play, and men, you better be a real alpha and not do anything for her. I was like, you do that and tell me how that works out for you in a relationship. So anyways, I was getting inundated with like thousands of messages, and it was one of the first experiences I had of really kind of being gone after by the internet or people on the internet. And I felt the need to defend myself, which is not the move. So anyone, if you're listening and this happens to you, just get off your fucking phone.
Oh yeah.
But I couldn't help it. And I have had friends that are constantly in this state, and I would give them advice. Just get off your phone, go touch grass. It's so easy. But when you're in it, it's hypnotic.
Oh my gosh.
And it's much harder. It's like much harder to actually do if you don't have experience. So I'm on my phone and I'm like battling with these fucking eggs online. And my 5-year-old goes, Mama, can we do this? I was like, yeah, 1 second, let me finish this. And he's like, that thing is just a time portal and it's sucking all of your time. You need to just put it away. And I was like, oh my God, he's right. And I'm a terrible person. And I'm going to go lock up my phone and go be with my kid, because this is the real world and this is all fake. But yeah, they'll say these things. You're like, where did you get that from? Just so, awesome. So intuitive.
He sees it clearly. He's
yes.
Like, I know what that is. That's a time sucker.
Yeah. I'm like, so obviously it is. How do you see that? And I don't. I guess just too close to the thing.
That's why I love it. I seriously, like, I get to live, like, my childhood again, but through them. It's like, oh, so cool to watch them, like, play with toys and just, like, get so, like, into something that's just right there. It's like, oh, yeah, I forget. This is what matters. Like, nothing else matters. The future, the past, none of that. The present is what matters, and experiencing that presence, like, with your kids is, like, the best thing ever. It's literally, they force it to happen. And that's why, like, I believe, like, God pretty much looks after white people and puts things in their life. Like, I don't even think everything happens for a reason. I think everything just fucking happens, and it's up to you to find the reason within it, you know? And if you can find the reason, then you can speak to the higher power, whatever that is, And I've been on that kind of, like, God's plan, as they say it is. But you're just, like, listening to every little thing, if it's like get up and go and just like small little things, you start listening to those, the right choices, if you could say that, and then when it comes to big things, it's like, oh, easy, just choose the first thing in your head. Don't second guess it and be like, oh, well, I could put it off for later, and then that just becomes who you are. And I don't know, it goes so much deeper than that, with drugs, alcohol, just the things that, like, your vices and shit like that. And then when it comes to being a good parent or being a good, employee or artist or whatever, influencer, it's like, you got to be on your game. And it starts with, like, conditioning yourself to think that way. So, it's crazy. And for me, it all happened with my son. Like, after having my son, I started realizing, maybe I should start, like, choosing the right thing more often.
Yeah, it puts a sense of responsibility into perspective that might not have been there before. I was talking about this last night when we were out at a bar, because everyone was kind of getting to know each other. It was after this book book party, so no, everyone's asking like the typical questions. Do you have siblings? Are you guys close? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's always this, I'm so sorry if you're not close with certain family members, because I mean, it is sad, right, if you don't have like a healthy family dynamic. But when you realize how influential people are on kids, especially like kids absorb everything, that you, if you are a responsible parent, are going to create like really strict boundaries as to who is going to be within that influential like circle. So if I'm letting you into my space and I know that my kid is going to be absorbing that behavior, even
Super
that
true.
Energy, as woo as that sound, it is a real thing. People walk into a room and you're like, oh, that person is lighting it up, or that person is kind of like sucking it all like down into this dark place. Like you can feel a person. So
That's so true.
all of that matters.
Like my son barely even knows who I really am.
What do you mean?
Like he just sees the nice, happy version of myself. Like I brought him around some of my friends, and they're like teaching him how to be like a little shithead boy, and I'm like, I realize that I keep that away from him completely. I don't even like do like pranks. I don't like fuck with him. You know, I'm always just like, I kiss his boo-boos. I like am just like straight dad. You know, I'm not like acting like a big brother or anything like that. And I brought him around my friends, and they were like teaching him stuff, and he knows like little things. Like he's learned little pranks and little ways that I'm like, oh shit. I was like, I should probably really think about who I bring him around.
How old is he?
He's almost 4.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So he's super like influential right now, and just everything. Like even he does this new thing where he goes like, I'm watching you.
Mine does that too.
Yeah. And I was like, one of my friends taught him that, and he does it all the time. And I realized, like I'm glad he just taught him that instead of, you know, anything else. Like, and people just like who you bring your kids around is like, it matters a lot.
For sure. Does he go to any like half day program or like a preschool?
No, his mom does like a daycare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even that, so like mine are both in this Montessori program, and it's mostly great. Obviously, nothing is perfect. It's very liberal, as most Montessori programs are, unfortunately, but I very intentionally like pull him out of classes I don't want him in or whatever, which crazy that he's 5. Well, it started when he was 3. That's even a thing, because to me that's sick.
Weird classes?
Like, yeah, they had DEI classes at 3 years old.
What is that?
Diversity, equity, inclusion. So
Really?
yeah, at 3. So they would like start teaching them about skin color, Martin Luther King, so teaching a 3-year-old about racism, super cool, right?
Yeah, like you just teach them how to be
a good person.
Unified.
Just be a good person.
Unify them. You know, that's all it should be.
Which is the opposite, because they don't see race at that age.
Yeah,
they don't recognize
like,
it.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't register until about like I think it's about 5 years old, where that they can start to see skin, like, oh, that's different. What they see beforehand is, this is part of my tribe, like my caregiver circle, or it's not. So if you were to have like a whole bunch of different races that are typically in their life, they wouldn't see that they're different. They would be like, oh, this is my group, these are not my group. So they wouldn't be like intersectionality within that dynamic until later. So you're introducing something way too soon.
For real. I've thought about that. I've worried about like school.
You should, yeah.
And like
you should worry.
Because like pushing on like sexuality and stuff.
Way too early.
And I'm just like, what are you talking about? These people they're not having sex. Like, they're not. Why is that even a conversation? You know, even when people would say to me as adults that they're, you know, gay or bi or this or that, you know, I'm like, I don't care who you're having sex with.
Right.
Like, I don't care. Like, unless I'm having sex with you, then I don't care.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to identify with.
Yeah,
right? To identify with your sexuality.
Because don't you like, you know, I would like you know, like fake statistics wise, but it's like that's probably like what you do probably 10% of your life, and you base your entire existence on that. And you're like, well, I'm a musician. Don't worry about who I fuck. You know, like that's pretty much where I go. I'm like, straight dude, but who cares? Why would I even have to say that?
Yeah, because you don't have people that are hetero or straight that are doing that. Like, I like men. I sleep with men. You're like, okay, that's cool. You were like doing it.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's move on to something that's more meaningful.
That's so true.
Yeah, but one of the days, it was like right around election season, and I didn't talk to my kids about politics because he's fucking 5 years old, so why would I do that, right?
Yeah.
He comes home and I have Fox on and he's like, that's Donald Trump and he's a bad guy. I was like, whoa. We're going to sit down for a second, little one. Where did you hear this? And he's like, I'm not telling. I was like, tell me, it's fine. You're not getting in trouble. And he refused. So I actually applaud that I didn't raise a snitch.
Yeah.
He wouldn't tell me.
Like, no, I don't want stitches. Stitches get stitches.
I know. So I can't really knock him for that. I think that's actually admirable. But we went into like a long discussion about how that was nonsense and how Mama voted for him twice. And now he sees him. He's like, I love Donald Trump. And I was like, well, we didn't have to go all the way that way, but it's fine.
I know. I told my mom that, like, because she's like a huge Donald Trump supporter, and I'm like, I definitely voted for him, but it made me almost not want to. And I told her because of the way some of the supporters are, they're so like, she lives in Rockport, so people are going around on their boats and their golf carts, and they have flags going around. They're just being super loud and obnoxious about it, and I'm just like, I don't know what they're talking about, but I don't want to be involved with that. It's too loud and obnoxious for me. I'm like, just like support the way you support. I don't have to be like, do it, hell yeah, And it's like, I don't know. I like, you don't have to be so radical about the way that you support stuff.
Right. Yeah. And any adult that's like sitting there and they're dragging their child, like your 4-year-old child, into that conversation. It's like, you don't have friends to talk to about this. That's so inappropriate. That's so inappropriate. Like we've done this thing in culture where we are just trying to have kids mature so quickly. And we have these parents and these adults that are so lost and don't have connections. So they're leeching from their own child. It's really sick. I see it all the time. Like, this is so inappropriate.
I know. I even felt bad the other day because we watch Sonic all the time. We love the Sonic, the Shadow movie, the new Shadow movie. And
we haven't seen it yet, but it's on the list. Yeah,
well,
he wants to.
He's sad, and he misses his girlfriend at one of the parts. And like, I went through a breakup, and I was sad, and I was like, sit there sad. And he was like, "Why? Are you sad, Dad?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I just told him yes, because I normally just like, nah. No, I'm not sad. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm with you. And he was like, oh, you miss, so-and-so. And I was like, yep. And so he'll walk up to me during that part of the movie, and he go, oh, it's okay. And he gives me a hug every time. And I'm like, man, he's so caring and so like sweet and comforting, and I'm like, I'm so glad I don't know if I taught him this or he just like absorbed it, or if it's just from his personality, who he is, but it was amazing to see that, even though I don't like him really even knowing that I have, any sad feelings at all. But that's where it's like, you know what? I should just let him know. Like,
I think so, right?
Like, show him what life is really about. Like, you can be sad. You can pick yourself up. It's how you react after that. You can just be fucking let it tear you apart and quit all your dreams and, aspirations and stuff. Or you can just use it just like anything else that tears you down, it just to build you back stronger, and that's kind of what I want to show. Like, my son is how, things happen. Be sad, like, feel those emotions, know those emotions, and get through those emotions so you can become a better version of yourself, and don't just mask stuff or just like, no, I'm good, I'm okay, and that's what normal kind of like a male mentality is and has been. I was raised by my mom and my grandmother, so I had just women raising me. But a lot of men just have that whole like, you can't cry and you have to be tough and all this stuff, and I'm like, no, you don't. If you don't do that stuff, you're just gonna be a dick later to somebody else that doesn't deserve it, or you're just gonna be rude and you don't even know why. You're like, why am I all like rude all the time and shit, and have a chip on my shoulder? And it's like, you never freaking let yourself have those feelings.
Felt it yet. Yeah, you haven't processed it.
Just suppressed all that shit.
Yeah, I feel like the whole stoicism movement, a lot of that's bypassing. And it's not to say that there's not great principles in it, especially for men. I think that there are, but I think people are landing there without the process of arriving. So they're skipping the process and just going straight to stoicism or like Ryan Holiday content. And again, there's so much gold there, but it's unless you do the work to actually like feel, process, integrate, and then consciously choose how you're going to deal with whatever adversity you're going through at the moment. It's not to deny it entirely or to shove it down or to say men aren't allowed the full spectrum of emotions as if you guys are some kind of different entire creature than women. I mean, sometimes it seems that way, but like if you have a little boy, you see like the softness and you see the sweetness and you see the empathy, and to deny that and say that something happens after puberty and that all goes away is just so false. So yes, I think men are supposed to be like more sturdy and strong and like resilient than women, right? But you don't get there by denying your humanity, and you don't get there by pretending that you don't get hurt or that crying automatically makes you a bitch or a beta. And I just had this conversation on Tim Cass like 2 days ago, and we were talking about crying, and it was kind of split because what it seemed like one guy, Ian, seems to be like more in touch with his feelings, and he was more accepting of them. Tim was on one end where there's certain scenarios, like if you lose a pet or a loved one, then that's okay. And then Myron was on, and he was pretty much like, if you do it, it's only around men, never in front of women. And at least he said you can cry. So I do appreciate that he didn't cut it off entirely. But do you think, have you ever cried in front of a woman that you were dating?
Yeah.
And did it ruin the relationship?
No, I don't think it ruined a relationship. But I definitely think there's a balance. Yeah. There is definitely a balance, like, on how much you rely on someone and how much you should rely on yourself, and kind of almost trauma dumping or something on somebody. Yeah. Where you're just like, help, I need your help, you know, and they're just like, well, this just stresses me out. I'm not horny anymore. Like you said, you know, it's like they get this, like, I don't know if I really, like, think you're, you know, gonna really help my life out, right? You know, and that's what everyone inevitably wants, you know, somebody to accentuate their life or make it, you know, not hinder it. You know, no one wants to be, and I just wrote that song, Captain Save-A-Ho. Oh, God. And no one wants to be Captain Save-A-Ho or Captain Save-A-Bro, you know, they want to be like, you know, they want someone to, you know, be there for them. And, you know, that's what I see. Yeah. You know, and so I'm like, you know, I've had times where I've dated somebody and literally like cried about the last person that I was still upset with. And I realized, well, I shouldn't have done that. Why? Because I should have done that by myself and should have been completely by myself. I shouldn't have got somebody new. Before you were over the previous person. I agree. And now I'm using that person to help me feel better about the last person, and then never really actually felt better about them. And then that relationship ends, and then keep going on. It's like, this is, you know, to me, that's the first time I've ever like just done the actual healing since I was like 25. And I'm 35 now. So I'm like actually going through that process, and it's like, it's pretty dope. I'm like, especially writing country music, because I'm like, oh man, I have so much shit. I have so much gold now. Thank you. And I used to say that like every time I like go through a breakup or something, I'm like, oh, thanks for the writing material. In my head, that would be kind of like how I'd get through it. But I never actually wrote on it. I would just like move on and try to write something about being happy or something funny. Yeah. And it's like, no, I need to like actually write my real feelings and put it out there. The thing that I've never wanted to do. I never wanted to put my diary out there for everybody, you know, but I'm like, that's what everyone fucking wants. Everyone wants to know who you really are, what you really feel inside. Let's see that shit that you know, and then you say like, guys shouldn't cry or whatever. But if you listen to country music, I actually just wrote a song, and I sang it without a country accent. I sang it more like, I was trying to go for like poppy, you know, and it's like, please don't you please, don't forget about our past. But then I went and I showed my friends the song, and they're like, it's kind of like, you know, wussy, and you know, none of my friends wanted to hear me in that space. They wanted to hear the cool version of me, who they kind of like. And then I was listening to country music, and I was like, man, all they talk about is sad shit. And they're talking about, you know, some really emotional stuff. And I was like, the only difference is they put a country accent on it. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, that's just a good old boy talking about his feelings, you know? But if you don't put a country accent on it, you're kind of like, what was that pussy talking about? You know? So then I was like, don't you please, don't forget about our past. And then all of a sudden it was like, it was acceptable. I sang the same song later on that night with a country accent. And my friend was like, oh, I love that song. That's badass. I'm like, that's the same song that you were talking shit about earlier.
See, but tone matters, right? Tone matters, context matters, and it does affect the way that we receive information. And this was something I was just talking about the other day. I was on the Whatever podcast because I am a glutton for punishment. So I said yes to that freaking show. Brian was cool. So I will say Brian was cool. Alex is a piece of shit. But towards the end of the conversation, I mentioned tone, and he's like, we're to pretend that tone matters. Like, it actually does. It does. Right? It matters a lot. I say so much shit to people. Like, when I go out in public or talking to whoever, I will say every single thing that's on my mind, no matter if it's like bad or good, or somebody says something weird. It's like that. I'm just like, oh, that's weird. Why'd you say that? Or just like call them out on it. But if you don't do it with like attitude, you can say whatever the fuck you want, you know. And if you smile while you're saying it, like, oh, that's weird. Why you say that? You know. But really go, and that was weird. Why'd you say that? Like, almost I said, why the fuck you say that? But you almost hear that with the tone. Right. You know, and
the
that's
tone
how
says, why the fuck?
And everyone reads text that way.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I know. Texts are the worst. I dislike text so
I
much.
assault people with voice memos now because of my girlfriend Kelsey, and I've influenced, because of her, probably like 7 other people, and then everyone else is like, can you please stop doing them? I hate them so much.
I know. Every time I try to do one, I think that I'm doing voice text, and I'm like, hey, how are you? LOL. I mean, hey, how are you? And I'm like, dang, this fucking sucks. I was like, I'm so bad at this. It's like, you use it's like chirp, you know, like a walkie-talkie thing.
So you are actively dating right now, and then you wrote a song that you said was Captain Save a Hoe, and you mentioned when we were first talking on Instagram that you've dated a Playboy model, OnlyFans girls. Are they super broken and like unredeemable like everyone on the internet says? Is there a really big difference that you notice between dating someone that is making money off of their body or their looks versus like a regular girl?
I mean, no, like I can't like say for everyone, but the people I've dated and stuff, you know, and a lot of girls that I've talked to, like the one common thing that I've kind of seen is they don't want to do it forever. They're like, oh yeah, and normally they're not like super proud of that part. They're like they're making money and they're happy about that. They're happy about the independence, and they like that, and they like, you know, fans and all that stuff, even though most of them are just like creepy guys that hang out in bushes, you know. But the thing is I've seen is like they'll be more like excited to tell you about I'm also an RN, or I'm writing this book, or I have, you know, I'm trying to go on to a more spiritual side of this, or, you know, and that's really who they are and what they want to promote and what I've seen. And so I'm like, that's why the Captain Save a Hoe, it has nothing to do with that. The song is actually about some guy that gets friend zoned. But I could have written about it. Like I could have had 20 verses because Captain Save a Hoe is so many different things that it could have been. But in turn, I'm always been like, man, I wish that I was like that fucking millionaire dude that could just be like, here, stop doing that. Here, just do whatever you want to do, and now you don't have to, you know, marry some old dude or something. You know?
Yeah. See, like I hate hearing that. I wonder how I would love to do a survey. Maybe I should get Ayla to do this. I'm so curious how many women that is true for versus the ones that are more like Lily Phillips and like that is the only thing she wants to do. You could not pay her to not do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because like that is authentically who she is, and people hate when I use that word and couple it with sexuality, especially if it's in regards to a woman. But like that is some people's authentic self and their expression, and they're just hypersexual, and they really enjoy that creative process of like turning sex into like a performance essentially. So Lily, that is who she is. She's a lovely, lovely lady. But I also have met the latter, which is women that are like, well, I'm like, I'm not super proud of this, but I like all of the perks that come with it, and I'm going to use it to eventually go somewhere else. And that I always caution against, because regardless of what the next thing is, unless it's entirely entrepreneurial, it's going to be very hard, right? Like if you want to be a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer, I know some girls that are going to law school right now after, and I'm like, good luck. Like
you could work every day.
You could be
gonna suck.
Well, you could be brilliant, right? Like graduate at the top of your class and go to a really good school. But and one of the performers is a huge name. I'm going to be curious how that is going to affect her being able to practice law, because no one's going to take you serious. And I'm not saying that that's right, but that is just one of the given consequences of making that decision. So I think if you're going to do it, you have to do it because it's in alignment with who you are in that moment, and like you're really getting something of value from the actual expression, the art, the sexuality of it. You know what I mean?
For sure. Like, I mean, it's fun. It's fun making content. It's fun. Like, you know, I would try to change it and be like, you know, and they would have customs and stuff like that. Just have the manager kind of tell me the custom, and then I'd be like, all right, well, tell me the custom, and then I will bring it up and be like, hey, just like a schoolgirl, and let's make a video. And I'll just video it and, you know, be the creepy dude behind the camera, you know? And
so you've been like the gonzo voice in the back?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Then the funniest thing is, like, you have to be quiet because no guy wants to hear, like, some other dude, like, ugh, in the background. It's like, I'm like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this. But now it's, like, not a part of my life because, you know, I'm not an OnlyFans model. I had a account just so you can tag, be tagged in the videos and stuff. But now I'm like, man, so not being involved in that is really nice though, because I just get to go back to me and go back to my music and thinking about what I'm doing and, you know, just focusing on that. And that's really been huge for me. Just the mental space, really, and how much. Oh, it was so fucking funny. I loved the Laser and Gary, and was Gary in it? I don't know, but there was a couple comedians and some models that did like a skit of being a boyfriend of an OnlyFans model, and I loved it, dude. I cracked up on it because they're like, oh yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. They're just like crying in the background, and like so many things. Or like he's trying to do the video content, and she's like getting mad at him, and like there's so many little things that they've obviously experienced. And I was like, you guys talking shit about me? You know, like, but not really. But.
Was it hard? Like, was jealousy hard, or was the working dynamic hard? Because you bring up a good point that I've never even touched on, which is if you have your significant other that is participating in the production, whether they're helping with logistics, whether they're helping with the bank side, like the finances of it, if they're recording it, there's different levels of involvement that the male can kind of help with. And then because the woman sees it as work, there will be fights and she will yell at you, or and she might say that the camera's shit, or like, why'd you do it this way? And then another thing, and this is something I fell into because I was shooting for a really long time. And if you get into this cycle where most of your sexuality is performative or it's for work, that it's really hard to turn that off and intimately connect with your person if there's no camera. Right? It's almost weird. You're like, well, where's the camera? Or you start to perform and you don't even realize it and you're not connecting or slowing down or whatever the thing is.
Yeah. It's almost like you have to have that like extra kink.
Yeah.
Like,
it creates a fetish almost.
Yes, for sure. And because I've always like had, you know, videoed stuff, you know, and that was fun. You know, I was like, cool. I don't know how to do these videos, but sweet. And it was just fun to do. But then once you start thinking, well, other people are going to see this, and it just became like more fun. Not the fact that they're going to see it, but just know that you're doing it for a reason. And you're actually, you know, for me as someone that does music videos and reels and, you know, I create content and I'm like, well, this is a different version of it, but mixed with sex. And I'm like, I liked it, you know, but there was definitely like times where, you know, I try to connect and just turn on the camera. They just like put on the camera at the beginning, and I'm like, well, that's where Blue Chew comes into play. And I was like, oh, thank God for that stuff, because it's like, dude, it sucks to be a dude and have to just perform like that, you know. And it's like you have to get in it, and then you're thinking, oh, well, how to look in the camera here. You know, it's like, well, do I want to be in the camera? Do I want my face in it? And it's like, you know, and then, but yeah, there's definitely jealousy, you know, and I think a lot of, for me, was more so just like the, just the amount of attention that it would bring, and how much involvement you really actually have to do to keep your customers happy, you know, your fans intrigued or getting new ones all the time. You have to go live a lot, and you have to talk to all these people and kind of flirt with all these people online. And, you know, like being someone like a guy from Texas, you know, I'm kind of like,
that's my woman.
That's my woman. I want my respect, you know, I don't do that. Like I go to my shows, I like take pictures with people and I'm like, hi, you know, I don't like, you know, act, you know, too weird, but also it's like, there was a lot of like, kind of comparison with that of being like an artist and then an OnlyFans job. And it's like, well, this is my job. That's your job. You're up there singing and dancing. And I'm like, yeah, but that's like
they're different. And I can admit they're different. I think
I'm sure that's been an argument in some people's relationships.
For sure. But that's like, and that's coping, right? And it's not to say that there aren't parallels, because there absolutely are parallels, but it's different. Like you can get jealous. Jealousy is a spectrum. You've got some people that are just so unhinged and like so immature that if someone is watching a movie, like a regular movie, and they comment on how attractive Brad Pitt is, like, oh, that's a fight. Well, that's a fragile relationship, right? True. So that, to me, that's insane. That person needs to figure it the fuck out and grow up. So there's like different things that can induce jealousy, and some people are going to more collectively agree whether that's like a healthy trigger of that emotion or not. But like sex and like nudity is different than you're a rock star and like girls are throwing a bra at you. Like those are different. You know what I mean?
I know. It's so funny because I was like, well, I'm not up there like shaking my dick around, you know? Like,
no,
like,
and even if you were, like, it's still different, because I mean, I don't know the women that you've dated, like how far they took their OF, but if it's sex, like that's pretty extreme example, and that's going to trigger your caveman brain no matter what you do. So you can choose to override it, right, and decide what you want out of a relationship and like what you want to do with that feeling, because I mean there's plenty of people that are poly, open, whatever, and they still have all those feelings. They've just made the conscious decision to override them, and they just have really great communication, and it works wonderful for some people. But yeah, you can't just be like, oh, you're famous too, and I'm getting jealous, so if I'm jealous, my feelings mean that this argument is valid. Like, no. Yeah. You know?
I know. I'm so happy to be single.
Would you date
All
another?
This just brought up so many emotions. I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this is the reason why I'm so happy.
Because you're single?
Yeah, because I don't have any of those thoughts anymore. Like, I don't have to worry about any of that shit. I'm just like music and living my life and not worrying about that. And that's where it came to like the factor of like, I thought about like, who will I date next? You know, who do I want? How would I want that person to be? And I'm just like, you know, I haven't really found out what I really, really want. All I know is that I don't want to have to worry about that shit again. You know, like that's just too much for me.
Yeah, so like, no more OnlyFans girls.
I don't know. I don't know.
Or bunnies.
Probably just not falling in love anymore.
No, you can't say that. No. Don't take the black pill. That is no, you can't do that. I don't support that at all.
I'm just going to write sad songs.
Nope. So are you one of those, do you feel that there's like that pain, suffering, and heartbreak are necessary for the creative process? Like, are you going to go the Taylor Swift route where you refuse to let yourself be happy because you're scared that you'll lose the it factor?
No, but I have worried about like speaking things into existence.
I believe in that.
You know, and so all of my songs so far have been about positivity, about love, and about just good times, weed, and just party songs and stuff. And so I go and sing those songs every single night, and it's fun. I like doing it. And now I thought about these songs that I'm starting to write, some like songs that are a little sadder. And I'm like, man, when I'm feeling good and I go back and have to sing that song and remind myself that I had those feelings too, I'm like, oh shit, I don't know if I want to do that every night. You know, like,
I'd imagine that you would have to have some kind of process to recalibrate after, right? So, because when you hear an amazing, like if you hear Jelly Roll and he's singing like that, somebody say, right? You're like, oh my God, that you feel that. You're like,
yes.
oh, I'm down. And if he's, performing to that level, I'm sure he does too, but you have to do something that brings you back to like the present moment. So you have to be able to touch that pain, but then come back when you're not performing.
True. I think maybe it's just trying to like just thinking in a different way of thinking of like how many people that you're helping or how much people you're relating to during this, and realizing, dang, I'm not alone on these thoughts. So many people think the same way and have these same thoughts and same feelings, and I'm giving them a more of a tangible version of their own emotion that they get to actually pinpoint for a second. So maybe having that thought of like, being like, I'm helping people out, or there's other people getting joy out of this, and I'm getting joy. Look how many people are listening to it, and what has came. I think that would probably help out. But it's definitely something I'm worried about. I'm like, oh shit, here it goes, because I'm talking to some guys that about investing into my solo project, and that's what I'm really, really excited about right now, is turning a new leaf and just doing more country music and singer-songwriter stuff, and I'm getting like a whole bunch of studio musicians to do an album, and then I'm booking a tour and gotta see what happens.
I mean, I'm gonna support the push for country music because that's all I listen to.
Oh, nice, good.
Yeah, it's my favorite. But yeah, anyone that's in the big camp of like you need all of those things to be creative, I always just kind of push back with look at children. Right? Children are like the most light, loving, like untainted version of our essence, right? And they're the most creative little beings on the planet. So they don't need any of that. And it's not to say that you can't, kind of alchemize your pain. I think that's really powerful, and then that can be healing too. But not to be scared to like love and be good and solid, because you can still create in that space. It's just gonna, and I would argue it's probably gonna be more powerful. You know what I mean? Like the highest vibration is going to be joy and peace, not apathy.
That's true. I don't write when I'm actually sad. Like when I'm actually like when I first went through the breakup and stuff. Like I was like had all these emotions, and I thought, this is some good stuff. Like if I could bottle up this and write about it and make the tones of the song and the tempo and just every little aspect to convey this feeling. Right here, like that's could be really good, but I just, when I'm actually sad or something like that, I'm like, I'm not writing, fuck that. Like, no, I'm gonna go work out and eat good and go to sleep early, wake up early, and do that for a month or two, and then I'll write about it, because I can actually handle having those feelings or thinking of it and putting it and articulating it and writing it down and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so it's actually my first time to ever write some, more sad things. But normally, even if I am sad, I just write the opposite. I'll just write happy stuff, because I'm trying to manifest that happiness to go back, and I'll listen to my song and be like, even like I'll have a shitty day and I'll wake up and I'm thinking like, man, fuck the world right now. And I'll write, hope everyone's having a great day. Love everybody. Love the world, And I'm being facetious. I'm kind of being sarcastic in my mind, but you can't read that in the text. And then I go back and look at Facebook, and some people are like, oh yeah, I hope you're having a great day too. This meant so much to me. Thanks for putting positivity out in the world and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, I'm really glad I did that, because now I put that positivity out there. Even though I was being, kind of sarcastic, I would rather say that than something negative and just like what you do on MySpace, when no one is even looking at your page and you're just like, meh, talk some shit, just say some, emotional things that you're
super
probably
emo.
delete later.
Yeah, everyone
like,
had their emo moments
exactly.
on MySpace. Thank God it's gone. Thank God those pages, those profiles can't be found. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so embarrassing. I can't even imagine what my page would look like if I found it now. Just a loser.
What would be your MySpace song right now?
My MySpace song?
Yeah, what would it be now?
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't know the song, but it would definitely be Zach Bryan. I've been on like a Zach Bryan kick for like 4 months now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Maybe Pink Skies. I love that one.
Oh yeah.
Or Heading South. I like that one a lot too right now.
Yeah. What album is that?
It's the one where he's like running, like I don't know the name of the
No,
album.
that's what I'm looking for is a picture.
Yeah, it's like him in a field, kind of with his head kicked back, and he's running.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I like that album a ton.
Yeah, I think I would have a Chris Stapleton song.
Oh, he's great too. Yeah. I love him. Parachute is one of my favorites.
You just took it out of my mouth.
See,
I was going to say Parachute.
Simpatica, yeah. That's a good one. I saw him with George Strait 5 years ago in Atlanta. It was amazing.
Oh, nice.
It was so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can't beat that duo.
Yeah, for real. It makes me think of, I saw Parker McCollum and Co Wetzel playing on stage. Like on Instagram, it said 2018, and to just see where they were and then now where they are now. And I was like, dude, that's crazy. And I think Parker went to my same high school in Montgomery.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he's like, my brother was like, oh yeah, I know Parker McCollum and or whatever. How do you say his last name? I don't even know. But and I always was like, well, your brother is Ronnie Bowen. Oh, like that he surpassed me in my high school. I'm like, damn it, I need to get bigger. he's the famous dude from my high school now.
Like, yeah, like, no, that's my title.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it.
But that's why country music to me is kind of gonna be something. It was definitely something new, but it's something that I'm like putting a lot of thought behind because I don't want to just go out there and like put a different accent on my music, and I don't really have a huge country accent, but I'm born and raised in Texas. I was born in Victoria, and I'm from Texas, and that's all I know. Like my dad had a ranch, and that was our life, and so I'm like, I need to go back to my roots, but write more singer-songwriter, Americana, have that kind of Texas rock country vibe, and just be my authentic self and just see what happens. Not trying to be sublime, not trying to be, super, like George Strait, but just finding my way right in the middle of it and then holding that down. And I think that's what's, that's what people want.
Well, the cannabis angle is really interesting too, and you definitely don't see that in country music right now.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's a couple people a little bit, like you had Willie Nelson, right? And there's maybe some people right now that are kind of into that bad boy image, and they'll kind of sneak some stuff in. But you have this movement to try to get weed legal in Texas. Is that do you think that that's gonna happen, or do you think it's gonna constantly have to be this gray area where you like move some letters around and now you have this other product?
Move some letters around. Yeah, I like that. Take the A off the THCA.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it goes like it legalizes, in Texas, because we already have all the accounts. We already have so many head shops, and the company Cream, who is my friend Chad Bruce, he owns, and we've done some songs together. We did a song called Gas with Afroman and Devin the Dude, and we put those two like legendary, hip hop like weed advocate artists on one song together, and just wrote about it's like, on that gas, no brakes, smoking cream, driving down the interstate. It's like that's kind of like the theme of the company, and so I really like it, like actually singing about legalizing weed and then selling it and putting it in shops and actually having the process of normalizing it happening and literally doing it myself, because you could sing about it all you want, and what's that gonna do? Hopefully somebody that is in some place of power likes you and changes their mind or something, or do you have to like go and do it yourself, and I didn't even have that thought of like that. It was just what I was doing, and now I'm like, yeah, that's what I meant to do, but I'm like the legalizer, like out here really putting it in stores. We did a collaboration product with Baby Bash called the Sugar Sticks, off his song the sugar gets to fly, and he's helped like normalize it and spread the word of just THCA, and THCA is just weed. That's what it is. You just got to test it at the right time with the right type of testing, and you can sell it, but you're not allowed to smoke it. It's illegal to smoke.
Oh, but I can have it on me.
Yeah. If you buy it from a head shop.
Yeah.
Or if you sell it to the head shops and you have your weed papered up, you take it to the lab and you get it proved that it is THCA, which, that's what bud is.
What about growing it?
Growing it, I mean, it's the same process.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to have all your stuff tested and prove what it is.
So you can have a tiger, but you can't have weed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Like, what are we pretending here? The tiger is safer for me and the community versus a joint.
It's to keep people out of your weed farm.
I guess so. Those poor things are at all the gas stations down here. It's so sad.
No way.
Yeah. So there are roughly double the amount of tigers in the state of Texas than there are in all of the wild. Double. And a lot of them are at these little gas stations, and they're chained up in this little shitty metal fence, and you pay $20 to go see this miserable sedated creature.
That's horrible. I've never seen a tiger at a gas station.
Yeah. Just try to look it up. I think there's over 5,000 maybe
tiger
closer
owners.
Tigers in Texas.
Oh,
and there's only like 2,500 in the wild.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, so like a little consistency if you're pretending that safety is paramount when you comes to like laws or legislation. It's really not. It's about money.
It's about money.
Like owning a tiger isn't costing any big industry any money. Legalizing weed costs tobacco a ton of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tobacco is who gives a fuck about tobacco anymore?
Right.
Everyone's smoking these things anyways.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like just get the nicotine, take your patches, eat your gum, legalize weed. Put the tigers back in the freaking forest.
In the wild, I know. I wonder if Texas or North Carolina is going to be last to legalize it, because North Carolina is holding out too. I don't think we even have medical, which is insane.
I think you can get some kind of medical card in Texas.
Oh, can you? Yeah, there's nothing in North Carolina last I checked.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the devil's lettuce.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Devil's lettuce,
yeah.
That's what people say.
So stupid. It's like, clearly you've never smoked weed.
Are you from North Carolina?
I say yes. I've lived in the Carolinas longer than I've lived anywhere else. I moved to South Carolina when I was 19. I went to Coastal and then just moved like an hour and a half north to North Carolina after I graduated. But from Southern California, and then my parents split, and I went to upstate New York and then did the bi-coastal thing. So a little bit of everywhere, kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think like my laid backness is California. I don't know that I have much from upstate New York. I guess like for a moment in time, I like dabbled with sarcasm. I'm not a sarcastic person at all. So it's like figuring out who you are. I think I'd probably mostly identify with the South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Because even in California, I mean, like we had horses and in property, and I was wearing boots and a hat and listening to country music. So
nice.
Yeah,
That's funny Southern. About California too. When I go and play California, I'll go to some bars and see those like fake cowboys playing country music, and I'm like, that's so weird. I'm over here in Texas playing reggae music and pretending I'm over here at the beach, and they're over at the beach pretending they're in Texas playing country music.
There are some real cowboys out there, though. There are some ranches.
Yeah, no, there is.
Yeah.
There's the avocado people.
Yeah. I think branding into that and being an advocate for that is going to put you into a unique position. So I would lean into that.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's also something like I've thought about with the country side of things. It's like, what do the masses really want? Like, they want stuff to listen to around their family, And so I'm like, But then I love it. I love like freaking David Allan Coe, and he puts some like, and the original like Tennessee whiskey, and it says, "'Cause I get high." That was my favorite part. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, he put it in there. And I was listening to Chris Stapleton. He was talking about some getting stoned or something like that.
Yeah, he does too.
On the Traveler album.
Yeah.
And
I think just be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't think about the masses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. That's the hard part. Is like when you write for yourself though, there's always going to be somebody that feels the same way as you, you know, or have felt similar to it. And so I learned that from, well, just in general, knowing that, but then hearing it out loud, you know, is like, that's when it's kind of sinks in. And have you heard of UGK before? It's a rap group from Houston.
It sounds really familiar.
Well, they're huge, and this guy Bun B, he has the Trill Burgers, and I did a song with Bun B, and so I started, you know, following his page, and I was listening to him live, and he was just like, you know, dropping some knowledge as he's driving. He's just like, you know, just do you. Like, everyone's so worried about, you know, being somebody they're not. You know, all the rappers want to look rich when they're not rich, and you know, and everyone wants to be a player when you're not even a player, or whatever you want to do. It's like, just be yourself and write about who you are and what you're feeling and how you are, and people will, you know, gravitate to that, the authenticity of being your true self. And so I'm like, all right, now who the fuck am I? Now I have to figure out who I am and actually live life and you know, be yourself, and then write about that. And so being an artist is fun, but it's also like, just, it's like a lot of self-reflection and things that you have to really think about. Like, before I even had, you know, a fan base, I was like just living my life and having fun, and then all of a sudden had all these, you know, fans and people listening to my music. Then when I put out my next song, I'm like, oh, they're listening to me. Like, they're actually listening. Oh shit, what am I gonna write about? I don't know what I want to say, you know. And it hasn't stopped me, but it definitely is a thought.
Yeah, of course. You know? Yeah. The constant peeling of the layers, right? Just humaning. Yeah. This has been amazing. Do you want to tell people where they can follow you, how they can support you, and then close us out with a little jam?
Yeah. Yeah. So you could find me on Instagram, just Ronnie Bowen. All my link is in there on Spotify and iTunes. My band's called Audic Empire, and yeah, check me out, dude.
Yeah, and I'll link all of that below. Check out the affiliates and the sponsors. Hit like and subscribe. Give us 5 stars. All that beautiful stuff. And let's enjoy this little jam before you guys take off.
I'll play this Texas Boy song that I did with Baby Bash.
Yay.
If I can do it. Hopefully I don't spill any water. This is about, you know, Texas. Over the hills in Austin, through the rivers of San Marcos, on the beaches of Padre, from Funky Town to the Gulf of Mexico. My roots run deep. I am who I am. I don't follow no sheep. I'm a one-woman man, and boots or bare feet, the sun on my skin. Deep in the heart of Texas is where I've been. I'm a Texas boy in my Texas ways, getting Texas money, getting Texas paid. Them southern skies and the starlights got her favorite Yeti cup in her hand. Damn, it feels good to be in Tejas, watching them southern girls getting down. My roots run deep. I am who I am. I don't follow no sheep. I'm a one-woman man, and boots on bare feet, the sun on my skin. Deep in the heart of Texas is where I've been. I'm a Texas boy in my Texas ways, getting Texas money, getting Texas paid. Woo-hoo.
That was great.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for the personal performance. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Before I break your mic.
I know. Bye, everybody.